I am Cindy Antonio. I am your K-8 member at large. I am an elected official. This is one of my many roles that I do as the Salary and Benefits Chair. Rita, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Rita Leskovic. I work at Warner. I teach 7th and 8th grade, girls math and social studies. I just enjoy working with salary and benefits.
Yeah, Rita is my right-hand girl. I have become your Salary and Benefits Chair probably about, I want to say 7 years ago. And Rita and I have been working very, very closely together. You should have gotten your confirmation from her. She figured out this great way to set up this awesome file that she can just mass email everybody, and it is saving us so much wonderful time. I appreciate it. Alex, did you get sound, or are you still kind of?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead, Alex, introduce yourself.
Oh, perfect. I see some familiar faces on here from some of the prior meetings. Alex Solov with Equitable. Some people know us as AXA. We're a retirement provider within the district, largest 403B provider actually in the country. We're just kind of here as a resource to help answer questions and help everyone maximize their forgiveness. So.
He is the financial advisor who I have here. I do give the disclaimer that Rita and I are not financial advisors, so we do not handle like a lot of the money conversations. We just kind of show you this is how this works, and then I turn it over to Alex, and he kind of gives us a lot of the nut and bolts of things. There are usually handouts that go with this event. Rita will get them out to you as soon as I get them over to Rita. They are the different forms that I'm going to be referencing in here. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to screen share. This is always a joy in my life. Did I do it correctly? And I got to do my, see, I usually have all this already set up for when you guys like come in. Slideshow from beginning. So this is actually a canned program that AFT puts together, and it is called their Debt Clinic. Figure out why they did it. Okay. I am Cindy Antonio and Rita Leskovic. We are your salary and benefits co-chairs. And we're basically here to talk about an overview of the Federal Student Loan Forgiveness Program, income-driven repayment plans, and public service loans forgiveness. And we'll do a small question and answer session. So this is why AFT kind of put this program together, because there are roughly 43 million people that have some type of student debt. Student debt is disproportionately affected women and minorities, and the average person graduates with about $30,000 in debt. I went to Ashland University. I know that I graduated closer to $60,000 in debt. And then, you know, you get your master's degrees and you keep taking all those other kind of degrees, and you just find yourself further and further into debt. This program was not around when I graduated. So AFT has done a really big push to try and get our members to take advantage of working for a public school and how we can actually get this student debt taken care of, because the more debt you have, it stops you from being able to buy many other things, you know, your first house, a nicer car, all those kinds of life-changing events. I do always put this in there, and it is the great slide. I am not a financial advisor. Please see a financial advisor to help sort through any kind of budgetary needs. And Alex is going to be talking towards the end about how it's important to see the financial advisor and all the great stuff that they can do. We're going to talk about a couple important definitions for you to have. You don't need to write any of these down. These are just like words you might hear in passing. So we're going to use this term of discretionary income. It is the difference between your adjusted gross income and 150% of the federal poverty guidelines for your family size. Those federal poverty guidelines change every year. So I could show you a chart or enclose a chart, but the chart would be outdated from probably about 5 years ago when I last actually looked at the chart. We also use the term called partial financial hardship. Essentially, you cannot afford your monthly loan payment under a standard 10-year repayment plan. Whoopsie, one too many. Oh, how do I go back? Where's my back button? There it is. So we have income-driven repayment plans. Income contingent repayments, the ICR, these are for what we have as direct loans. Again, this is just comment. This is just for your knowledge. You don't need to write any of this down. These are payments that are capped at, which is less than 20% of your discretionary income, or a fixed payment for 12 years. Your loan is forgiven basically after 25 years. Then we have our income-based repayment plan, and this is called the IBR. And this is for federal family educational loans, or the FFEL loans. And it is or direct loans or partial financial hardships. The payment cap is about 15% of your discretionary income, and it is for loans forgiveness is after 25 years of payments. Then we have this other one that's called a pay, or the new IBR. And this is for direct loans that have been taken out since 2007 with a partial financial hardship. The payment is capped at 10% of your discretionary income, and the loan is forgiven after 20 years of payments. Then they have this new one called the repay, the income-driven repayment plans. It's called a revised pay as you earn, or the repay. And again, this is for all direct loans, payments of 10% of your discretionary income. The loan is forgiven after 20 years of payments for undergraduate loans and 25 years for graduate loans. Okay, so there's this form that Rita's going to send all of you, and this is the form that I'm having a little bit of problems actually trying to locate. And this will actually allow you to look at have the government look at your loan amount and decide which repayment plan is the best for the lowest amount. Now, why is this so important? So we have this person here named Anna. Anna has these bills in front of her. These are her loan payment bills. And she has an income of $45,000. She's married. She has 2 wonderful children. So she is a family size of 4. She has a direct loan of $30,000, which means she has to pay $311 a month under a standard 10-year repayment plan. Anna comes to this financial meeting, and I say to Anna, hey, you should probably think about filling out this form, because this will allow you to kind of drop your monthly payment. Now, I will email you the form. So the same thing, her income isn't going to change, but because she filled out this form, she can subtract $36,000, which is 50% of the FPG. That's the federal poverty guidelines amount. Leaves her with only discretionary income of $8,550, which means she can take her payment down to an annual payment of only $855 a year, or roughly $71 a month. Again, there is a specific form that if you have federal student loans, that will allow you to drop your payment down. Now, the problem is that you must always recertify every single year about your income, so that the government can always make sure that you are paying them back a certain percentage of your discretionary income. Now, take the same idea. This is Melissa, but Melissa makes the same amount of money. However, she only has 1 child, so she has only 3 people in her family. She has the same loan amount as Anna. And she will has to pay $311 a month under a standard 10-year repayment plan. Notice her family size is different. Now, if she would pay as you earn, so she'll fill out that form that I will send to all of you. She fills it out, she mails it in. They will relook at her family size and give her the federal poverty guidelines adjustment, which gives her a different discretionary income amount. So now her payment is $123. You're going to say, but Cindy, she makes the same amount of money as Anna. Correct. But because her family size is different, her federal poverty guideline amount is different. So this all has to do with, first of all, filling out this form that we will send you, and we'll mark it as form number 1. And it allows your payment to go into a lower amount. Okay, Alex, you look like you're chomping on the bit. You want to say something? Okay, I'll keep going. You're all here for this part, this whole public service loan forgiveness. We all know by now that after working for 10 years in the public sector, that our federal student loans can be forgiven. Now, this is usually the part where I would show you the form and we look at it, we talk about it. We will get there, but I want to go through all the PowerPoints first. So you have to be able to answer yes to certain questions if you have a federal loan. Can you qualify for public service loan forgiveness? Yes, only if I answer all 5 of these questions. Do you work for a public service? Well, yes. We define a public service in a very broad term. It is any company that is classified as a 501c3, which public schools are classified like that. It doesn't matter what I do in my public school as long as I work for them. This could be anyone from a cleaner to the superintendent. It doesn't matter what they do. It could be a teacher, it could be a psychologist. It matters that who they work for. So who qualifies for public employment includes any level of government. That means a federal, state, county, municipality, or tribal, which includes all public school districts, public fire departments, and public industries or higher education. As long as you are employed and paid at any level by a government or a 501c3 nonprofit institution, we are eligible. Do you work full-time? Well, full-time is classified as 30 hours a week, at least 8 months of the year. Now, I learned over the summer that substitute teachers, even though they are being paid from Cleveland Public Schools or Cleveland Metropolitan School District, they work for a nonprofit. They are not technically classified as full-time employees. Even if they are in a long-term sub position and they work, all year round in a long-term position, they are not classified as full-time. CTU just found out this information over the summer. We are working to try and get that classification changed. But as you know, working with this district, it is kind of like moving a slow moving mountain. Can be a little bit of a challenge. We are focusing on the levy, so we kind of lost a little bit of focus, but that is back on our radar to try and look at this whole full-time employment. In order to classify as full-time is 30 hours a week, at least for 8 months a year, but it can also be what your employer defines as full-time. You are able to combine hours for multiple public service employers. In order to do that, you need to get a certification from each of the qualifying employers, meaning you could work part-time for 2 nonprofits and you could be classified as full-time then, as long as you get that information certified. So the first half of the talk, I spent just kind of talking about loans and the style of loans that there are. Your loan has to be a specific type of loan for it to qualify. So that means one of the biggest barriers to enrollment in public service loan forgiveness is not having the right type of loan. Only direct loans, I would write that word down, direct loans qualify for public service loan forgiveness. The most common direct loans are direct Stanford, direct consolidation. If you have a FFEL, FFEL, or a Parent Plus loan right now, you can consolidate it into a direct consolidation loan. If you don't consolidate, any payment you make won't count towards public service loan forgiveness. You just need to go to studentloans.gov. It will take about 10 minutes to complete the form. Does your repayment qualify? Only income-driven repayment plans, that would be the word I would write down, income-driven repayment plans. Only income-driven repayment plans that were discussed in the previous section and the standard 10-year repayment plan qualifies for public service loan forgiveness. So this is the other mess up people make. They don't have the loan in the right style. It has to be an income-driven repayment plan. Why wouldn't you want to be in a standard 10-year repayment plan? If you're hoping to have your debt forgiven, it is because you wouldn't have anything left after those 10 years. You would have made 10 years of on-time qualifying payments in a standard 10-year repayment plan, and then your balance is paid off. So you won't have anything left to actually pay off. And then the last one, does your payment qualify? Here's the problem a lot of our members run into is in order to have your loans forgiven, you must make 120 qualifying on-time payments. All that means is that once you receive your bill, you pay the full amount of the minimum payment within 15 days of the due date. It is critical to double check that you are making on-time payments. In recent years, new information was released by the Department of Education showing that millions of borrowers are constantly 1 month late without even knowing it. The government calls these people rolling late payers. They're in a situation where every month they're paying just a few days late where they've missed a single payment years ago and don't even realize it. Because of that, none of their payments are on time. That means if they're trying to build towards public service loan forgiveness, none of these payments will even count. You can log into your account online at studentloans.gov to check this, or you can call your servicer and they will tell you. So if we've answered yes to all of these, I read the chat question, I'll answer that in a couple seconds. If you've answered yes to these, so you have to answer yes to all of them. Okay, turn the page. Then you could qualify for public service loan forgiveness. So let me go over the quick tips. You need to call your servicer. If your servicer gives you problems or inaccurate information, you can always report them, and here's how you report them. And recertify annually. In Cleveland, the person who you send your information to say, make sure that you, your public service loan forgiveness form too, is Lucita Cummings. I will have her name in the stuff that Rita sends out to you. Lucita always likes page 1 filled out and nothing on page 2 filled out. She's a very nice person. She gets back in touch with me right away. So if you feel comfortable, you can always CC me on any emails to her. She's a very nice woman. I say her name with a Hispanic accent. She is not Spanish. She's African American. I've had several people ask me that question. So her name is Lucita Cummings. She works for CMSD. She usually works at 1111, but she is remote like all of us. She is our contact person who does the public service loan forgiveness verification. She has a fancy title. I don't remember it. And the last one is always to keep your records. Keep very, very close all of your records. Here's where you can check out. You're going to see some emails from the student loans place from me, and they will send, that is where I'm getting some of the forms from. Rita put in the chat Lucita Cummings' email. So I'm going to turn it over to Alex a little bit because I asked him a couple questions. Alex, it's going to take me a little bit to stop sharing and get off this screen. Okay. So I sent, wait a minute, it went away. There you are. So I sent Alex a bunch of forms and I wanted to make sure that I had all the correct forms. So he was kind of looking at those today for me. And he's going to talk a little bit about financially why you should kind of look at this and how his company can kind of help you with some of the paperwork. Okay, Alex, it's all up to you. I made you a co-host, Alex, so you can screen share and do whatever it is you like to do.
Awesome. So yeah, actually I'll actually just go ahead and just talk for a couple minutes. Didn't have any slides or anything like that prepared. So high level, when we're looking at student loans for clients, typically it ends up being the largest debt of someone's entire career. Outside of, maybe a mortgage, which is a normal debt to have. So plenty of our clients, when they look at their student loans, they simply push it off, push it off, push it off, and they simply do not go away. Paying them off, death or disability is really the only way to have them forgiven. So we always tell people, yes, the federal government right now, as a stimulus, is pushing off payments, is deferring interest, but you still need to be on top of it and make sure you're enrolled correctly. So there's two main programs we see people using. One, the public service that Cindy was just talking about. And the second is teacher loan forgiveness. So teacher loan forgiveness is geared towards obviously teachers in Title I or low income schools. I know in Cleveland, whether you're an administrator, school psych, guidance counselors, there's a lot of non-teaching positions. They're not necessarily eligible for that program, right? So it's a good program. It's simple. It's geared towards working 5 years. And then you receive either $5,000 or $17,500 in forgiveness. So very straightforward program. We're happy to help with it. The main one that people are receiving questions on is public service loan forgiveness, PSLF. So how this program works is, as Cindy and Rita had covered, there was a contractor leaving my house, sorry. One, it's a 10-year program. So we know it's at a minimum a 10-year commitment at your public school once you're enrolled. It's not, I'm going to teach my 10 years and then look into the program, right? So we know we have to teach 10 years or work 10 years at a nonprofit. We have to have qualifying loans, as Cindy discussed, and you have to make a qualifying payment plan as well. So the biggest mistakes we see people making are, you don't have the right type of loan, you're not on the right type of repayment plan, they're consistently late, or they're simply saying, all I have to do is work 10 years. So unfortunately, a lot of people we speak to think that simply working at a nonprofit is enough. It's not. You actually need to be enrolled in the program, right? So the first, I know Cindy and I always go over these kind of horror story numbers. The first 150,000 people who enroll in the program and make it through their whole 10 years, about 3,900 of them received their forgiveness. Really, really scary numbers. They're getting better, but the main reason for it is people are they're enrolling incorrectly, whether it's filling out the forms wrong, getting bad information from their loan servicer, being consistently late. It kind of all adds up and why people aren't getting their forgiveness. Now, the reason we got involved with this it's probably been 2-3 years, is for us on the retirement side, it's really hard for someone to save for retirement if you have a $1,000 a month student loan bill. It just doesn't work. Now, on our end, if we know a client is participating in public service, we know we're making an income-driven payment. So how can we lower someone's income? You make a pre-tax deduction. So as everyone here, whether you pay into STRS or SERS, like those pension deductions, it's pre-tax, it lowers your income, lowers your student loan payment, right? So then additionally on our end, since we provide supplemental retirement plans, if someone puts money towards an IRA, a 403B, 457, it's going to additionally lower your income and lower your student loan payment, right? So we always joke with clients, everybody wants to retire at some point, and everyone for sure wants their student loans to go away. We've kind of found a sweet spot where we could kind of maximize both. So kind of helping clients run those numbers, making sure everything's enrolled correctly. If you are enrolled in the program, which there's usually at least a couple people in these that are, we're still happy to take 5-10 minutes and just, double check it and verify that you are. I've unfortunately, when we speak at staff meetings or when we would at schools. Usually, 5 to 10 people in a meeting raise their hand, say I'm enrolled, and we have to politely tell them that statistically 8 or 9 of them are doing it incorrectly. So it's too important. Make sure you're enrolled correctly. Cindy, I don't know if there's anything else there that.
No,
Like-
I want to show them the forms that you and I
Yeah.
were kind of looking at. So these are the forms that, okay, Alex being my financial guy, and he is my go-to student loan person. Whenever I have a question about student loans, I usually try to reach out to him, or I try to call the 1-800 number for student loans, talking to the federal government. But he puts it in a little bit more of like my terms that I can understand. So he's laughing at me, but it is so real. So I'm going to show you the 2 forms that we've been talking about, and then I'll get to the questions that are being asked. This first form is like the income-driven repayment plan. This allows your federal student loan. Am I sharing? Yeah. This allows your federal student loan to be in the correct form. So this will be the income-driven repayment plan. And this question 2 is the box I always point out to people and say, you want to make sure you check this box, this first one, because they will look at all the different ways to repay your loan, and they'll go with the lowest payment possible. If you were to just check IBR, then they will only do IBR. They won't check anyone else. So you want to make sure for the second question that you always check all of the repayment plans. And again, Rita will send this all out to you because I will send her the link, and this will be the first one in the link. And I will send you a copy of the PowerPoint presentation also, so you can take a look at that. The next thing that we're going to look at, this is the public service loan forgiveness. This is the one that Lucida Cummings needs to help you fill out. So I did email her, and she got back in touch with me, so she knows that I'm doing the program today, that there might be a couple, she might get an influx of forms. I do that as a courtesy because I've learned to be kind of extra nice to her. So you fill out all of this page 1, which isn't a lot. You fill out this tippy top of page 2 before the section 3 line, this tippy top, and then you leave everything else blank, because Lucida will fill out everything on part 2. She doesn't need your help filling out employer name, or she will fill out all of part 2. Now, I always get people who want to argue with me. Oh, no, my principal can fill this out. No, they can't. Lucida Cummings is the only person who can fill this out. No, the superintendent. No. Lucida Cummings. I don't care if it's your barrier breaker. I don't care who it is. Lucida Cummings is the only one who can fill out this page. This one right here. Now, Alex, I will bug. He will also send me, there's another one you could do. If you are like a person who teaches like math, or I don't know what they're like Alex, I see you're trying to reach for your mic there.
Yeah. So the teacher loan forgiveness form, is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
Yeah. So that form, your principal can sign.
Yes.
Some of the confusion comes from. So the teacher loan forgiveness, that's if you teach 5 consecutive years, math or science at the secondary level, or special at any level, you get $17,500. So it's a great forgiveness tool for those who have smaller loan amounts who maybe don't qualify for public service.
But the problem is you cannot be trying to qualify for that one that Alex just talked about and public service loan forgiveness. You can't do both at the same time. No, you can only do one or the other, and they don't go together. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording so we can talk a little bit more openly, and we can talk specific problems and situations. I'm going to